Hello, YouTube. I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney, and on this channel, we answer publicly posted questions from YouTube users, getting folks the answer they need from an employment attorney. We have a question from Shiesty News KC23, which may be a reference to the Kansas City Chiefs' newest player. Not newest anymore, but a very new player. Williams, who I've heard positive things about. All right, question here. My employer is asking me to drop my case. I was told there will be consequences if I don't drop the settlement. I have the entire conversation recorded on audio. Is that something they can ask me to do? Can you make a video explaining if it's legal for my employer to threaten me and ask me to drop the lawsuit? Okay, so depends, because I'm not entirely positive about what you're saying here. If they're like coming to you, hopefully you're represented. But if you're pro se, if you're representing yourself, that's fine too. We'll cover that. Hopefully they're coming to you or your attorney and they're saying, hey, we'll settle this case with you. Like, drop the case. We'll arrive at a settlement figure. And if we pay you that money, drop the case. Fine. You can say yes or no. You can agree or not agree to that settlement, but that's fine, right? The other thing they could be doing is coming to you and saying, hey, we think your case is frivolous or you're doing something wrong, whatever it is they're saying. And if you go to trial on this, we're going to try to get attorney's fees against you. We're going to try to make you pay for our attorney's fees. Can they do that? Depends where you are. Depends what's going on. I'm not going to answer one way or the other. But they might be able to threaten it in certain situations, and that might be legal. Now, what it sounds like is happening here, I'm not sure, but what it sounds like is someone's coming to you maybe at work, in a back alley, in a text message, I don't know, and saying, hey, some real bad things are going to happen to you if you don't drop that case. I'm going to call you Shiesty because I like the name. Just because it's your username, I'm not calling you Shiesty. So somebody comes up to you, Shiesty, and they're like, hey, you know, you're on that scaffolding all day. People down below you can't see. They could mess with that scaffolding. Be real shame if your scaffolding came down because you got that lawsuit open, right? And I say this as a hypothetical because that happens sometimes, right? It's terrifying, but that happens. If that's what's happening, you're dealing with retaliation, and that is huge in terms of what it could do in terms of the valuation of your case, but it's also huge in terms of what you have to deal with. Your life could be at risk, right? I have no idea what they're threatening you with in terms of consequences. I have no idea, right? If they're saying, hey, we're going to fire you if you don't drop your case, that's probably retaliation too. It's less dramatic than you might fall to your death if you don't drop that case. I mean, essentially what they're saying is you drop the case or they drop you, right? Like, horrible, but poetic in its own way. Now, I hope that's not happening. I'm just saying there's an array of what you could mean in terms of consequences if you don't drop your case. And that's why I gave an array of answers here, because I think it's useful for people to think about what the consequences are, right? Like, if the consequences are, we're going to have to move you to a new department because you sued everybody in your department, that could be viewed as retaliation. Depends a little bit on the details, right? If it harms you in some way, it could be viewed as retaliation. It's not going to be the same, though, as we're going to fire you if you don't drop that case. Or, hey, if you go to trial on this, we're going to seek attorney's fees. Like, these things are not all the same, right? So when you say consequences, we need to know a little bit more about context and what the consequences threatened were to know if we're dealing with retaliation or just tough litigation, right? We don't know. We don't know enough. So I'm going to do, Shiesty, is follow the comments in this video. If you want to give specifics, I will give a follow-up answer because I want to help. Speaking of which, if this video helped, and it might not have because we're just kind of giving an array of answers here, but if it did, like, subscribe, comment down below. It helps me to help more people just like you. And remember, almost everybody works. Not everybody wins. Be smart out there.